Exclusive, sir.
What happened? It looks like today is taking time for it to go live. Alright, I think I got a notification. Did you get a notification? Okay, I'll send the link to you too. Mashallah. Thanks to those that are live. Please feel free to drop your name and perhaps location, anything, so we could do shout out. Today we'll be hosting a Otto. We're chatting about Bitcoin, chatting about technology, development, politics, anything. We'll see. The conversation is just going to be all over the place. But news just coming to me from Topos' other main partner, that's Isaac Abrak. He says that we would have news about the Chibok girls, so he'll be here. He's collecting the details and putting them together. The Chibok girls are remember back in the day when 200 girls got missing? It was so serious that Michelle Obama had to put a piece of paper. Everyone did that, and Isaac is actually an authority on that. He won an award for following the case and going fast Boko Haram and things like that. And luckily, alhamdulillah, subhanallah, Isaac is a partner of the spaces, so he'll be coming in sometime to give us the news, and I will repeat this over and over so we can be ready. All right. Let me share on my wall too, and then we can start, especially now that we're warming up. Shout out to Fokala. Focus. I was reading your comment about that stuff in Cameroon. I mean, Cameroon is a very complex animal, but I think that with all the problems that we see, as the more problems you have, it means that the more solutions are lurking underneath. So perhaps it's an opportunity to uncover those solutions and bring the change that we want to see. So let's try to look at problems as opportunities, and perhaps that will make us reduce all the battles that go on today. So Paul, I sent you the link. You got it?
Yeah, I shared the link already.
Yeah, okay. I'm sharing on my own wall, and then we can start discussing. We can start talking and things.
Okala, yeah, it's a long time, really long time. Where are you now even?
I think it's in Cameroon. Whatever that means. Alrighty, I'm sharing. Thanks to those that are joining. Yeah, Paul. So I think we can just dive into it. You were saying that you before we came to this chat. Before we went live, you were saying that you first looked at Bitcoin as almost like from an exchange and trading point of view, and it wasn't that appealing. And then you saw the price go up, and you felt like you were left behind. And I had to add to paint a clearer picture of what you meant, because I felt like that too. You feel like the train has left you behind, because back in like 2009, one Bitcoin was $1 was equivalent to about 1,039 bitcoins, and before Bitcoin went to be like this currency that we know today, they had to do the trade, like some first trade, and the first trade was pizza. So pizza was bought with Bitcoin for 10,000 bitcoins. So if you time travel back to a few weeks when Bitcoin was $40,000, so imagine what 40,000 times 10,000. You see what I mean? So that's a lot of money. That one pizza. That's how much is that? 400,000. So that's it. Yeah. So that's a lot of money. So I mean, that's a lot of money. 400,000 for one pizza. So it means that that's the value of that pizza. You see, and who knows where the pizza is today? You see what I mean? Yeah. So Paul, please take it from there. Yeah. Say what you were saying, and we'll go on.
Yeah. So like I was saying, when Bitcoins began, when I first came across Bitcoin,
Yeah.
I from a trader's perspective,
Yeah.
and like I said, it wasn't really appealing to me.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Money motivates me, but there is a limit to how much I'm motivated by money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, um, for some reason, I don't want to allude this to my background or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I, I believe that I can do, I can go ahead with life with a lot less
Yeah.
than that I'm seen or than the opportunities
Yeah.
coming around me have to deliver.
Uh-huh.
So um, uh, being someone who is not always motivated by money, when
Yeah.
I experienced Bitcoin from a trader's perspective, I was like, nah, this is not what I'm looking for. Um, as
Yeah.
time passed by, I learned about the technical opportunities of Bitcoins,
Yeah.
but there was this technology learning curve which I felt like I need to overcome
Yeah.
before
Right.
I'm able to implement. No, this is basically a ledger technologies,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not a Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
I was
Right.
looking at technical implementation
Yeah.
of blockchain technologies
Yeah.
into other fields of life.
Yeah. Right.
But um, I don't think as I was passionate about the opportunities which I saw, and I'd also see the 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 size of the value
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
create. For example, as an individual, I'm fascinated with, I'm passionate about community technology,
Yeah.
media technology,
Yeah.
and educational technology. Those are three core areas that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And in all of these areas, what really fascinates me is the possibility for conversations that can happen within these areas. For example, in media,
Yeah.
I might be looking at conversations around topics that matter, or might be looking at
Mm-hmm.
compensations
Yeah.
for those who are pioneering and pushing conversations forward.
Yeah. Right.
Uh,
I see.
in community, I'm looking at online offline interactions,
Yeah.
especially of online to offline interactions,
Yeah.
uh, um, um, creating opportunities for people to actually meet other people that they want to meet or
Yeah.
they meet.
Networking. Yeah, and
So
stuff
this,
like that. Yeah. Yeah. I see.
I'm looking at educational technology as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm passionate about peer-to-peer education,
Yeah.
and as a way in which global intelligence can be easily redistributed, um,
Mashallah.
in a way that people can actually build mastery, not from a system point of view, but from another person's, but from how much you can get from another individual. So those are some things I've been looking at, and at that um, by the time I came across blockchain, I was not sure about how how blockchain could create value in any of these areas that I'm passionate
Mashallah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, the value can be created. For example,
Mm-hmm.
with a media technology, if we're looking at compensation,
Mm-hmm.
then we could easy to use blockchain to capture ownership of content,
Mm-hmm.
and also capture distribution of content, and then track how each influencer
Mm-hmm.
participates in the creation and redistribution of content, so that
Mashallah.
each
Yeah.
person can be rewarded. But I mean, I also feel like the amount of value created in all of this, in the total amount of value created, is usually it can be very big. For example, let's say a tweet goes out,
Yeah.
and I make a tweet, and the tweet is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then people begin to share the tweet.
Yeah.
Now, let's say that this tweet generates some money, right? Let's say generate some money,
Yeah.
and then everybody who participated in the redistribution or in the creation and redistribution of this tweet have to be compensated,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So maybe I will create an original tweet. I can have like some maybe should it be a flat unit of compensation, or should the total amount of compensation should the total amount of value created be distributed to all the redistributors, for example, the retweeters
Yeah.
of that tweet, and the creator of the tweet gets a percentage of all the of all the
Yeah.
value. So let's say if you retweet it and you have 1,000 people who view the tweet, then you have 1,000 units.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
some other person out of those 1,000 people who view your tweet, 10 people retweet it. Then you have your base 1,000 units, and then you have 1/10 of all that the value that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I see
now
what you mean. Yeah.
this will now be a way to store value and reward value creation, value redistribution and creation
Yeah.
for people who promote conversations that matter and that don't matter.
I
Now,
see.
this looks interesting, but now when we get back into real life and then we see um, how much value is created from redistribution of content, right?
Yeah.
Let's say in financial terms.
Yeah.
You, while the basic philosophy around this might look interesting, in real life, the amount of money created from hundreds or thousands of retweets it doesn't really add much, right? It's not that big that
Yeah.
that can make it matter. So I ask myself the question now. It's interesting, but does it matter, or what does it? What's the size of the value that's going to be created? So
Yeah.
I did not. Maybe it could be huge. Maybe it could be huge in the future. But at that time when I was thinking about it, I was like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, people are going to get like 10 cents or 20 cents or after all of this.
Yeah. Right.
For something that leads to maybe like 100 retweets,
Yeah.
you're not going to get anything important out of it. So maybe you're only going to get something when something gets like maybe a celebrity retweet a tweet, which will happen like twice a year,
Yeah.
right? Then redistribution of value maybe for the average Joe, like getting anything out of this will be luck. For top influencers, maybe they can make a lot out of this, but how much value in financial terms can this be created? So those are the things that hold me back. When it comes to educational technology,
Yeah.
I did not really see a point where a transformative point where blockchain technology could be used. I will use the word transform, or let me say comparative transformation
Yeah.
vis-a-vis existing technology, right?
Yeah.
For example, let's say that I want to use blockchain to store people's transcript information, right?
Yeah.
Transcript degree information.
Yeah.
That would be good with weeding out defrauders, right? Like if you are at the end of the year, at the end of your education, or at the end of each year, your transcript is recorded into a system and stored in the blockchain, and it becomes really difficult for the Atangajis and the other people
Yeah. Right.
to make a slight adjustment because it will not work, right?
Yeah.
But, and that is good. That is good for a social perspective. That is good. But looking at this solution as a recording technology for educational results, the question is, what are institutions presently paying for? Right?
Yeah.
Are they paying for creating or to organize their records, or are they paying for to reduce fraud in the records.
Yeah, I see. I see.
So when you get back into it, they are trying to make record keeping easier for them. So a blockchain technology will add some value on top of the existing value. But how much value do the owners, the people paying for these technologies, give to this additional value vis-a-vis the original value which is being created? In SaaS, I see 3 points of value.
Yeah.
I see a record keeping, I
Yeah.
see engagement, and I see a decision making.
Okay.
A record keeping is, let us keep all the records together in one place, right? For
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
CRM, like, okay, let us make sure that all our customers or our leads are all organized
Yeah.
in one place. Right? That's record keeping.
Yeah.
Engagement is, let the staff be able to work with this platform, right?
Yeah.
And let who is what a person does, B person has access to it. For example, social media
Yeah.
posting, I should be able to use the platform to post on social media. So that's engagement. A decision making is analytics tools. For example, how many students do we
Yeah.
have? How
Yeah.
many students do we have last year versus this year? How many new acquisition did we have for students for last year versus this year? So
Yeah.
when I'm thinking about like SaaS technologies, I can see value in any of these
Yeah.
sports. Now, when looking now at a blockchain technology, I
Uh,
start looking at for the key people who pay for this.
yeah.
Does this technology help to increase value in record keeping? Does it help to increase value in engagement,
Yeah.
or does it help to increase value in decision making?
Yeah. I see.
Then now I now see how much value, and then I feel like the existing technology can create close to sufficient value
Yeah.
that the additional value that blockchain is going to create might not be worth the investment for someone whose first interaction with production technology is databases. Like if my first interaction with production technology was blockchain, then I'll be like, I mean, like it's easy, it's my default, right? There's no conversation, that's my default. But if it is my SQL and database technologies,
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, I have to learn some blockchain right now before I begin with this.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, let's do some tutorials. And then I'm like, let me just begin with my SQL. When I'm done with it and I deliver, then I'm going to like upgrade. I'm going to like change it to blockchain and stuff like that. So um, from my personal experience, those have been the things that draw me back. At the end of the day, I fell back into the trader opportunities in
Yeah.
blockchain, and
Yeah.
that was mostly because of interactions with people,
Yeah.
like people Paul, I don't have money to pay you right now. My money is stuck somewhere. Can I pay you with Bitcoin? So those were the things that actually gave me my first interaction with
Yeah. Mashallah.
yes. And
Yeah.
then I would say I missed a lot because I could increase, I could buy more Bitcoins and more cryptocurrencies
Yeah.
when still cheap. But I did not because I was not passionate about it. I was not
Yeah.
passionate
Right.
about it. So
But
I let
but when the passion will bite you, you will not be able to stop. And
it.
have you heard this joke that they say that, let's say, and I always tell the joke to my wife, like, let's say I may want to borrow money from her, and I'll tell her that, hey baby, I don't have, all my money is tied up in blockchain, so I can use my blockchains as collateral, or how they call it, the security to borrow money. You see, so that's a joke that people always make on blockchains, and I used to make it too. So, but I mean, it's really interesting.
I'm going to respond to that
Yeah.
like if you can give me all of it, I'm going to give you the money.
Yeah, and it's been fun. My part, like I got into Bitcoin for the technology, and we chat about that. But but when I read the math, I you know, things like calculus that we use to measure maybe the speed of objects, like the earth or some car that is moving up to acceleration. You could get the maximum point, local minimum. So people use that in the financial markets to measure how fast the price of some security is changing, right? So when I studied Bitcoin and looked at the mathematics behind it, and I used some of the analytical tools that I knew in mathematics and studied it, I was like, man, this thing is interesting. So I just started buying, and there was a point where I never really had any dollars. So now if I needed to do something, let's say
Always tell her, you can sell to me.
yeah, so maybe let's say a bill is gonna come to me like $2,000. I would like borrow from my wife or from a friend, and I'll send and the equivalent in Bitcoin. And imagine, but that's when it was still, sometimes it used to be like 8,000, 11,000. So, and I did that on purpose because when I tried to tell them about it, maybe they didn't catch the bug. So when it went to like 30 something, 40,000, and they looked at it, they were like, whoa. Like you see the value of what that 2,000 that is sent to you that time. When you look at it now, you're like, man. So now those people are the ones hitting me up that, hey, this Bitcoin, how is it? How is it? I'm like, when I was telling you didn't want to listen. But anyway, and Paul, thanks for painting that wonderful picture. You spoke about when you looked at it, the engineering, you looked at aspects like networking, value creation, education, redistribution, participation again, and redistribution of content, then karma or like compensation. And you ask questions like how much value is created from redistribution and of content. So you use Twitter as an example, but I just wanted to let you know Twitter, here in the States, Reddit actually has a very powerful standing than even Facebook and Twitter. So Reddit has the idea of points, right? Or let's say karma, just like Stack Overflow. Or let's start with Stack Overflow. With Stack Overflow, developers get to ask questions and answers, and a bulk of a programmer's task today is about solving problems, and you mostly do that by googling it, and then you follow a link to Stack Overflow and study the solution that someone has put. But how do you filter that out? You look at the points like upvotes and the rest, and that's how you know that maybe this answer is the correct answer. If 1,000 people have voted this, there's no need for me to go to someone that has like 200, or sometimes I look at all. But that is value that is captured in content redistribution, and then the more people share it. So Reddit also had that, where when you comment and the rest, you have points. So it makes it and then there's a hot page where the things with the best points go on it, and it used to be 10 or something. So Reddit already had that aspect of karma, but that gave you social capital in a way that people can follow what you say. Like you, Paul, I've been on Facebook and I see people almost always commend you for the good work you do, how smart you are, the value you add to their lives. But it mostly ends at that. That's some kind of social capital that is in memory. But Facebook may show you sometimes in terms of the number of likes that some content you put up has, or like this video we have, I see 2 likes. And then I see 2 comments, 2 shares. Some people can use that and calculate and get a feel of how much value it has, right? But now you spoke about value too in terms of let's say money and stuff, and you started by saying you're not interested in money just as money, but as some kind of a tool for like let's say civilization. If I have to use the best aspects of all what you spoke about, so when I was listening to you, I was just saying, man, Bitcoin, all these networks solve all of that. And that's why I took the pains to go through Stack Overflow and Reddit. So but the way that these crypto networks solve that is really, really amazing, right? And the distribution of content, the creation of content, the integrity, all of Bitcoin. Like you hear of data integrity, that's the data should be the same. Like I should not put my first name today and then I come tomorrow, E is missing or something. Due to integrity, the data has to be there. And normally, companies will maintain data integrity by maybe putting bouncers, putting gates, putting fences, putting security systems where you have to scan a badge. That's in the physical world, right? But it's just a normal computer, just like this. But although they'll use server racks to store them, right? Which means if I can break into a Google data center, figure out the computer, I can actually steal it and go. You see what I mean? But imagine, and thanks to Bitcoin, things like that from the ground up are done cryptographically. So with that, I can give you a bit of like a foundation on it. But uh, uh, when you have a system that is encrypted from the ground up, then you can beat your chest that there is security. Look at WhatsApp, for example. WhatsApp claims to do end-to-end encryption. That means I would have some kind of a secret key and a public key, and the secret key enables me to sign things, right? And the relationship between the secret key and the public key is that if I sign, it's a mathematical relationship. If I sign something with one, I can unbox it with the other one. So it's almost like the simplest thing is, imagine when we're in school, right? And you have your friend, the teacher is teaching, and you want to write a note and send to your friend. Now, we went to Bishop Rogan, but if you're in a mixed school, there could be a girl at the end of the class and you're sending the note. You can write something that, okay, let's meet in the evening behind the chapel. So if I write it and I give the next person, he can read it. He can perhaps write something. I remember even in Bishop Rogan, I once wrote a letter to a girlfriend of mine, and the teacher caught it, and I was really ashamed. I was a bit disgraced, but after I was like, man, fuck it, whatever they want to do. But with encryption, you can as well have this model with your friend where you know that A means C, C means D. So I can write something, and if you take it and read it, you wouldn't know what it is that I'm talking about. You see what I mean? So you see all the letters scrambled, but the friend knows how to decode that. So if now A means C, C means E, it means that's the key. So you have some kind of a key where you know that, okay, whenever I see A, I know that Paul meant C. And that way we could spell words like food and the rest by using different letters. And you can decode it, right? So with that, anybody in between who does not have the key cannot understand that message. So WhatsApp will do that, where I'll text you, but it will encrypt it, and you at the other end, you decrypt it. When you write to me, it will encrypt it and I'll decrypt it. So even Facebook and the rest, they don't know what is there. So if I go to Facebook and steal the server with the messages, we will not be able to unblock it unless they have keys. But there is some tricky part. You don't have the key. So it goes back to the same thing. It's not secured. They have created the key and they've kept it, so they're encrypting it for you. So when they want to decrypt it, they can as well use that key. You see. So which means we don't have the security that is promised. So we need a system where you can manage that security, that integrity yourself. So from a philosophical point of view, all the things you mentioned, networking, content creation, their security are already assured by these networks because it's encrypted. And the simplest way to look at it is, think of an internet where things are encrypted by default. So now on the internet, you have your email and password. You log in. Those that don't have your password can't log in, right? But you have to create that email in order to have this secure space for content. But if you get on an internet that with an account, you are using cryptography from the ground up, then the security is like assured. So for a start, that's that. And in terms of trading, the real essence of Bitcoin cannot really be felt now, because things like trading and how people first get in contact with it actually bad the laws of demand and supply will come in, and people will start like that. Let's say when the price of Bitcoin is $40,000, you would see that people are selling Bitcoin worth $1 billion. So when you do that kind of thing, you liquidate it, you're pumping $1 billion into the market, right? Yeah, you're pumping that. So there will be a lot of Bitcoin to be sold. So the price will drop. So that's why you see it goes to $40,000. Then the next minute it goes to 37 or 35 because those that have made that 40, they just sell it. So when they sell it, it cannot hold its value. So trading actually spoils the whole thing. So yeah.
That's what makes people rich.
Yeah, I mean you can't avoid that. We're human beings. You
Yeah,
see,
when
so
it
yeah.
capitalist,
Yeah,
okay,
so yeah, you can, but for a start, right? Bitcoin itself, for if what you can do is to read the white paper. So these networks, whenever they come, the white paper gives you the concept, right? And the birth of Bitcoin actually coincides with the solution to a problem called the Byzantine general problem. So it was this mathematical problem where, and it was designed, and it was first of all asked by Leslie Lamport. So Leslie Lamport is a pioneer in distributed systems. So he has this problem that, okay, the problem is, imagine that you have some generals that want to go take over a city. Let's say there's war in Boya, and you, Paul, you're the general. You are in Boya, you have one general at my 17. You have one general, let's say, around small support. You have another general around Boya town, right? Then maybe you have another general around UB. He'll be close to the one in my 17. But now you want to send the messages. So you see that we're back in classroom. And you want to send a message to your friend or your chick or whatever. And how far are you sure that the person you're sending it through is not a spy? And how far are you sure that even the general himself is not a spy, or it will get into the hands of a general? Like, how can you send these messages across securely so that the people cannot intercept that and perhaps know your plans as a general? You see, don't mind this thing like when this Anglophone problems started, where people used to come and announce their strategy on Facebook. We used to be like, man, you know, you really it's be like, man, do you know what you're doing? Yeah, all right. Hey guys, thanks for catching up. Paul is like skipping to put the lights. He'll be back soon. We're talking about Bitcoin, and he had so Paul had explained his concerns when he tried to get into Bitcoin. So I know a bit about Bitcoin, so I'm gonna
blockchain as a whole, not just Bitcoin.
yeah, blockchains. Yeah, we'll get to that. So actually, yeah, Paul. So the Byzantine problem, right? It was a math problem, just like fair math problem that a lot of people were trying to solve. So
Yes.
this guy Satoshi, he wrote this paper, and I can actually share the paper. What do you think? Let's put it there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let me get it. So Satoshi actually shared this paper, and we can just read the abstract and then continue from there. And you see that man, like the things that you spoke about, the networking, but it just like gives me a clear picture of like the problems you had. But above that, it shows me how it shows me the value of Bitcoin actually. Can you see?
You can see.
Yeah, I would share it to. Let me share it to the. Let me share so this on Facebook and see. Yeah. I can just read the abstract and a bit of the intro. So this is the paper that this is the white paper of Bitcoin. White papers kind of explain the concept of things, and then people can go and implement it. So white papers are also almost like the specifications. Like you want to build a house, you say I want a door here, glass door. You can describe it as you can go into much detail as you want. So the abstract, he says, a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. Digital signatures provide part of the solution. So keyword there, digital signatures. Digital signatures provide part of the solution, but the main benefits are lost if a trusted third party is still required to prevent double spending. We propose a solution to the double spending problem using a peer-to-peer network. The network timestamps transactions by hashing them into an ongoing chain of hash-based proof of work, forming a record that cannot be changed without redoing the proof of work. The longest chain not only serves as proof of the sequence of events witnessed, but proof that it came from the largest pool of CPU power. As long as a majority of CPU power is controlled by nodes that are not cooperating to attack the network, they will generate the longest chain and outpace attackers. The network itself requires minimal structure. Messages are broadcast on a best effort basis, and nodes can leave and rejoin the network at will, accepting the longest proof of work chain as proof of what happened while they were gone. So you can look at this paper later. For those that are more interested in it, you can always just type Bitcoin white paper, and you see that explains the technology behind Bitcoin, and it will give you like a description of it. It's kind of technical, but if you pace through it or you take your time, you understand it, and it's a very beautiful system. And we'll go into the detail as we chat. Yeah. So I mean, Paul. So now, if you look at those, right? You see that the keywords there on that paper, we had something like oh, I see a comment, Dalila. I would get to it, but please let me just finish this. So the key things that you have peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer means we are equals, right? And the simplest system that you can try to understand in order to understand Bitcoin is uTorrent, BitTorrent. You remember those? Those that used to download movies. Those that used to download movies. Those that used to download music. It was very common in Boya, right? Those that had TV shows. That's how we downloaded the TV shows when we were in Boya. We used BitTorrent, used uTorrent. So, but what was the underlying technology? Are you there?
Have power.
Okay. So NEPA did this thing. Up NEPA.
NEPA has been for a while now, but I'm on generator. I just was not plugged in.
So
I'm on my
Okay. Yeah. So so if you remember uTorrent, those that used to use uTorrent, BitTorrent, so that's the same system as Bitcoin for a start, right? How did BitTorrent or uTorrent used to work? There was no central server that had the file. Today, let's say the BitTorrent paper that I showed you, I went to a certain link and found it. Or if you're dealing with Google search, the content is kept in Google servers. So for you to access it, you have to actually ping the Google servers, and then the Google servers will give you. But on the BitTorrent network, there is no central server. Everyone that has a copy of that file actually uploads it. So when you're downloading a file, you're downloading it directly from the people's computers who have it. And as the piece, and it also used to slice the files into little packets, and you'll be downloading those packets little by little. And then the packets that you have downloaded, you at the same time or concurrently uploading them to other people that need those. Yes. So the more some packet is available, the faster the download goes, because if 10 people have some piece or some packet, then getting something from 10 people is actually fast, because it can actually slice it again into little pieces and just get it. So it goes recursively like that. So Bitcoin now use that architecture, and that's a distributed system because there's no central location. And that's at that point, you see that you have eliminated what they call the honeypot problem, where in the war, if there's one general, once you attack the general, that's why top ninjas used to say that, okay, for me to solve a problem, cut the head, or to solve any crime. Even governments do that today. When you for you to solve any problem, find a leader and just cut the head of a leader, and that's it. So now with Bitcoin, so he said a peer-to-peer system. So there is no central location. So you cannot attack anyone. Everybody that has the system, everybody participating in the system is central. So there are so many centrals that there is no one central. So you can't kill it. You see. So yeah, and so now you see that in that general the problem that we spoke about, like in Boya, when you have those various generals that are located there, they all have like equal capacity, right? But then there is the he spoke about CPU power, proof of work. So what happens? What that means is that um, when you do something like you write a message, you encrypt it. But in order for you to encrypt that message, you also need some kind of CPU power. You see, so now it takes you more to write that message, but it takes less for it to be verified. So when I send you, the other general, some packet with information, I also attach to it some kind of thing that lets you know the amount of work that I put in. So it's easy for you to know the amount of work than for you to actually do it. Let's say if let's say mountain race. When you're watching mountain race, you see a Tata Thomas coming, chick, 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 chick. It's easy for you to determine that this man has worked hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So to determine it is easier than the actual running that Tata Thomas took to run to the summit and then to come back. So yeah. So now, if for example Tata Thomas was hiding by Upper Farms, right, and then well, Upper Farms is a bit far. So imagine that Tata Thomas was hiding somewhere around just around the Moliko Stadium. Yeah, Bongo Square. Then he came, he did not even sweat. He's looking very fresh. You look at Tata Thomas and be like, man, man, did you go up? Yeah. So you look at Tata Thomas and be like, man, did you go up? So you see now that with the generals trying to communicate, each time a general sends a message to the other general, he can look at it and see the effort that was used to craft that message. And if it's not enough, he knows that it's fake. You see. So now that's the proof of work that he was talking about. So he was proposing this system where everyone participating on the system is a peer. There is no central location, and then we can exchange messages, just like how we use the text messages. So in essence, Bitcoin gives you the ability to send money just like you send a text message. So like how I can send you a message at hi Paul, Bitcoin gives you the ability to send it that hi Paul. So I mean, and to summarize before we continue, so this is not be like I'm giving some kind of a long lecture talk. Uh, the that system where peers come together to be able to exchange messages equally is, or to exchange text messages in a way that is secured and there's no middleman, because they wanted to eliminate banks. We will talk about that later. Just like when we use coins, if I give you like 100 francs, right, there is no bank there to determine whether I give you the money or not. I just give you the 100 francs. So at that point, we are peers. I give you the 100, you take the 100, you give another person. So, but in the modern system, especially online, if I go buy something, I have to ping the bank. The bank has to debit my account, credit the account of that person. So it's like the bank goes everywhere I go. I go buy puff puff. The bank knows that I bought puff puff, and then I go back and buy what else? Buy a book. I go to a bookshop. I buy a book. They swipe my card. The bank has to debit my account credit, so they know that I've bought a book. You see, so everywhere I go, the bank is following me. And then it starts getting worse when, because of that, they start taking that and they build a profile that people can know that, okay, this kind of person. Then they start selling that information to other companies, like how Google, they do ads. And for you to create an account, you have to give your social security number, give all of this other information that are not really necessary. But they are necessary because of the problem we have created. In order for the bank to do these transactions, they want to make sure that it goes well. If something goes wrong, they want to be able to solve it. So that adds extra cost. You see, because they have to monitor things and then avoid double spending in a way that I don't pay you $100 and then take that same $100 and go and pay another person. That's the thing in that paper about the double spending problem. So in that case, you see that using banks is actually more expensive because for them to avoid the double spending problem, all the other things they have to bring, even the extra information they get from you is expensive to you. So yeah, so for a start they wanted to eliminate that and create a system where PS I can pay to you digital cash, digital money, just like I'll use cash, but there's no middleman to be following me up and down. Yeah. So I mean, for a start, Paul, that was the thing that he did, and we can talk about the implementation now, and we'll be able to uncover
I
the other
think that
pieces.
Bitcoin itself is something uh, that it's something we all wanted.
Yeah,
Again, that's why it took off because we all wanted that.
yeah,
Um, Before Bitcoin, those early days of computing,
yeah,
um, I'd always dreamed myself of digital currencies and
yeah,
them actually being used.
yeah,
Yeah, to carry out transactions,
yeah,
and I've always dreamed about full digital world.
yeah,
And unfortunately, the platforms that the platforms that created something close to digital world
yeah,
did not, for their own sake, did not utilize the financial potential of dealing of interacting in those worlds. A good example, let me just at Facebook, right? The
yes,
amount of content created on Facebook, Facebook should have been able to reward its users for the amount of digital value created, right? It could be views, it could be engagement, or whatever,
yeah,
so that people should now be able to should I say digitally cash out, but
yeah,
somehow be able to see that okay, I have created an overall engagement, be it
yeah,
views, be it time spent on my post, be
yeah,
it post created, be it likes, and all
yeah,
of this into some kind of value, right? That all of this can just use some formula. I can have okay, let's say Facebook units,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then with other um, tools within the Facebook economy,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I should be able to now use this value created to be able to access
yeah,
other things
yeah,
within, for example, someone could now create, let's say, an online course,
yeah,
maybe the Facebook course builder, and
yeah,
I don't need to to use cash to pay for this thing created. I
yeah,
could just use like some of my Facebook coins created from the value I created
yeah,
by both.
exactly.
Understand? So
Yeah,
those are some things that I really wish could exist, where people could create value and and complete interactions
yeah,
with the value created, like in
mm-hmm.
this ecosystem, in this world.
Exactly. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's just like one example. Of course, there have been like huge issues with basic things like money transfer
yeah,
that that needed to be handled.
yeah,
Yes, and of course, buying and selling online.
yeah, right.
Some startups created some digital currencies before crypto, but then none of them ever really.
It was the same middleman thing. So it was
Yes.
the, and actually, sorry to cut you short. You mentioned ecosystem and a point system, right? This is
Mhm.
this coffee is from 7-Eleven. It's a shop. When you go to 7-Eleven and you buy any product, you can, if you could have the app that they can scan and that will reward you with points, or you can put your number in. They have that number in their servers that will also reward you with points. After a certain time, you go and you get a free coffee. Like when you go, you put your number. The let's say this is like 199. Let's say 199. But whenever I put my number, it goes down to 168. You see, And I've a couple of yeah.
That's too centralized.
Yeah,
Okay, for
yeah, I
example,
get it. Yeah,
Facebook,
I just wanted to show you that picture of point
Facebook
system.
will now use the value created for you to use it to purchase free Facebook ads. Or let me not say, it's not free because
Yeah,
it's value that you have created.
you have
I'll
minted
look at
yourself. Yeah,
of another example, the Reddit coins,
yeah, right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I can buy Reddit coins and
Yeah,
then use it to carry out a couple of activities.
yeah,
But what about my Reddit points,
yeah,
right? That I created. I'll look at. I know you say Reddit is has a bigger impact than Twitter, but I
mm-hmm.
really like Twitter's retweets are quite measurable.
Mm-hmm.
And
Even already, they have that. I think they have that
when
concept.
you post or something,
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Facebook now. It's Facebook shares. That's why I said that.
yeah,
If you look like on Facebook, what people do nowadays, they don't just look at your followers, right? I say so in the time that we have been running Topo with Isaac. Most times when I reach out to people, they always ask you how many followers do you have, and then maybe they want to go and see a video to see the number of views and things. That's also some kind of value that you are expressing, but in the spheres of Twitter.
yeah.
Again, most of these things are controlled by. I think we should get into the core parts of Bitcoin now, so you actually see how it solves these problems. Because in
Okay,
terms of
before
yeah,
we get there, I think that let us look at Bitcoin is a solution,
yeah,
but let us look at the problem
yes,
and let
yes,
us look at the reason why solution providers shying away from giving people access to the value they create.
yeah,
Because, for example, the world is still going on, right? Like
yeah.
cryptocurrency is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin is there, but the world still goes on with other platforms which are not crypto. So
Mm-hmm.
that just tells you that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are valuable, but people are looking for value.
Yeah,
Whether
right.
the value coming from, people could move from centralized to decentralized systems based on what they get. So it's not like decentralized systems are inherently good
Yeah.
or inherently valuable. Let me see. It's not like they're inherently valuable, but it's about they have a higher potential to fairly distribute the value that was captured, right?
Not exactly. Not exactly.
Okay.
And we'll get to that. It's part of the problem actually.
That's what I see because
Yeah.
it is easy to allocate uh, the value that each person captured, and the person can like if tools are built to measure the value, then the person can actually know how much value he has created.
Yeah.
Now the next thing is the people creating these things, are they willing to um, uh, uh, give the value
Mm-hmm.
to the people who the value. There is recognition of value, but
Yeah.
there's also actually giving the value. For example, telling me that my tweet has been retweeted 1,000 times is just recognition of value, right? The
Yeah,
same
but
with Reddit.
it pays you biologically in terms of dopamine and all the high that you feel important and stuff like
It's
that.
just a matter of now.
Yeah.
Getting back to the real world.
Yeah.
Twitter makes money from the engagement that its users
Yeah.
have on their platform,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Um, if Twitter makes money from the fact that I created an interesting tweet or I use my social cloud to be
Yeah.
able to tweet that people are interested in because they're interested in me, and because of that, people engage with Twitter and then engage with ads created by Twitter customers.
Yeah.
Why is Twitter the only one to benefit from
Exactly.
the
That's the problem. Yes.
yes? So now what I'm trying to say is that this is a problem not created because the system that Twitter uses is decentralized or centralized. It's created because Twitter's DNA is not lacks the willingness to give people access to the value they have created. Because, for example, Twitter does not need any tools it does not need decentralization to say that okay, you your tweet got engaged by 10,000 persons, and
Yeah.
so you have this Twitter unit.
Yeah.
Now you can use Twitter unit to promote your tweet, your other tweets that do not have the kind of engagement that
Yeah. I
this
see what you
other
mean.
one
Yeah.
have,
Right.
right? Or you can use this Twitter unit to boost this to boost this post that is like
Yeah. Right.
going live.
Yeah.
Or you
This
can
really
use
fiery post. It could be a
by
Trump tweet.
taking an influencer access
Yeah.
from some. You understand?
Yeah.
So the same thing with Facebook, the same thing with all these platforms. Or let's say that on Udemy, go to Udemy for example,
Yeah.
and I'm able to enroll for Udemy course
Yeah.
and share with some people that have enrolled to this course,
Yeah.
and the people come to Udemy because of right.
Yeah.
How can you make sure that because of this, I'm able to have some Udemy units to be able to get into some other Udemy paid courses?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that um, with or without a decentralized technology, there is a lot of room for value redistribution if people are willing to share this. With decentralized technology, it makes it easy to allocate, right?
Yeah.
To allocate, but without that DNA, we'll still have showers. We'll
Yeah.
still have people showing that our music platform is based on blockchain technology,
Yeah.
and you have this number of units or you have this number of points and what like that. But without that DNA of I know I created this technology, but you are the redistributors of the value in with the creators and the redistribution of value within the system. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I am going to not only show you the value you have created, but also make it easy for you to cash out on it in one way or another
Yeah.
without over relying on deals.
Yeah.
Let's look at the deals part. Let's look at Instagram. I can go to Instagram and build my Instagram cloud, right?
Yeah.
I can go to Instagram and get followers and stuff like that, create engagement. But I now need to rely on my ability to close deals
Yeah.
with advertisers or with people looking for influencers in order
Yeah.
to make some cash out of my social cloud.
Yeah. Right.
However, because of what I'm creating, Instagram is making money,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
So I'm not saying that they must share their money with me. That is
Yeah.
also a solution. But
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they must do that. But they have not given me access to not only see the value I've created, but to measure it in a reusable format so
Yeah.
that I can use it to engage, to benefit within the Instagram community
Yeah.
or other communities. For example, I could use some of my Instagram unit to pay for Instagram ads, right?
Yeah.
Now, Instagram partner community. Can I use this Instagram unit to also pay for Facebook ads? And maybe there
Yeah,
is some
I see.
WhatsApp ads
Yeah,
coming
like
up to pay for WhatsApp ads.
yes, like inter networking actually,
Yeah,
because these are different networks. Yeah, I
the
see.
network. Now, what I'm trying to say is that um, the platforms that are online, creating, giving people an opportunity to create value, are are not are not creating opportunities for people to organically use this value that they created
Yeah,
within the same systems.
yeah.
Within
That's the design of those systems because, and I think the one way we can look at it is that uh look at it in terms of numbers that they give the web, right? Like Web 1.0, the first Web 1.0, the original web was just like scientists trying to share documents, right? And then so HTML, CSS, and those that were created up to let's say up to 2000, right? People could put web pages online and they're just static. You put like a weblog. They don't even call them blogs, but we're blocking from the word weblogs, where people just put cat pictures, put normal sites, and then so that's the DNA. So since you mentioned DNA, that's like the DNA of the web. Originally, just this platform where people can scientists first of all share documents and send links to references that are interconnected, right? The whole mesh of things that we can all reference with the assistance of the uniform resource identifier that I can use to identify something once and people can later connect to it. And with Web 2.0, with the Googles, was that okay, now we want to make these things dynamic. So instead of just having a page that has things on it, and I want an application. So that's why sometimes when I try to teach people how to program, I always take them through this path where I say that okay, please create your resume for me. So you create your resume in Microsoft Word. Then I try to convince you that do you know that you can build Twitter, Facebook, YouTube on a Microsoft page? So you need to use Visual Basic and all of those. But the thing is that how expressive is Visual Basic, and how expressive are the tools that the Office suite will give you to develop those applications on it, to present that page where videos can be loaded and then people can actually access it. So everyone will just need to open their Microsoft Word and perhaps link to your program and use it, but that is not feasible. But the browser is easier for that, right? So now people like Google started building applications like Google Maps with Ajax and the rest, where you can actually make these things come to life. Now, instead of me just having a page with information on it, I can have a page with a map that can also track my current location, but go further to update itself as I'm moving. So that's how I would have a GPS application in the guise of Google Maps. So that was Web 2.0. So, but it's also, again, the DNA, the original DNA is there. This person assembles this application and puts it out for users. So from there, he's like, okay, that was something like Google brought Eric Smith and people like that. I don't just want to put these applications out there, but I need a revenue model. I want to be able to make money. So, okay, since I'm putting these applications for free, how do I make money? Oh, smart guys are like, put ads, show these users ads. So, but capture their behaviors and then take these ads, do targeted ads and things like that. So you see that DNA that you're explaining is still there, because these people are out to make money, and yes, and we the users, we are using the value. It's an exchange of value